Is Ninjago a kids show? You may hear varying responses to this question, but technically speaking, yes. However, Ninjago does have a lot of darker elements that are slipped into the story here and there, some of which are more obvious and some of which aren't. I'm Daily Overlord, and today we are examining 5 of those less obvious darker elements. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Just a few things to point out before we begin. This is not technically speaking a top 5 video. These are just 5 entries that are not listed in any particular order. And secondly, you may not agree with everything being said on this list. Do remember that the word dark can definitely be up for interpretation, so remember that this is my interpretation of what the word dark means to me, not yours. And finally, my goal in this video is to show you scenes that you may not remember, so we're going to be discussing scenes that are generally overlooked or generally not talked about much. With that having been said, let's begin. Our first entry on this list is a scene from episode 21, The Day Ninjago Stood Still, and this is a scene towards the end of the episode when Wu and Misako are cornered in the NGTV building, and so they're fighting off some stone warriors. However, things aren't going well, and it becomes apparent that they're going to be defeated, so they decide that they're going to go out together, and they jump out the window, but then land on the bounty. So when they're saying that they go together, they are not talking about them being a couple in the scene, but actually saying that, hey, if we're going to die, we might as well face it on our own terms and go out together. In fact, they had no idea that the bounty was going to land under them, which is definitely apparent by Wu's shocked expression when they do land on the bounty. As a young viewer, this is very easy to miss, and maybe for some of us teenage viewers out there too. This is a very mature scene, especially to the young viewers that the show is directed towards. Rather than fighting until the bitter end, Wu and Misako decide to spend their last moments in peace and happiness. Imagine being locked up in your room with literally nothing to do except think to yourself and sleep for one whole day. Now imagine doing that for every day for the next millennium. It's really no wonder that Asphira is such a crazy person. This was Asphira's reality for the majority of her life. Just sitting in that tomb with nobody to talk to, nothing to do except think to herself about how desperately she wanted revenge on Wu. This was Asphira's punishment for eternity pretty much. Because that's right, in episode 11 it is mentioned that she is magically entombed, which I presume to mean that during this time she wouldn't age. And again, it really is no secret why she's so insane in season 11. Just sitting there rotting away, harboring thoughts of revenge, and hoping that someone will free you has got to be more than enough to break a person. Next up on our list is Moro's skeleton, that scene from episode 52, and the overall premises surrounding his death. So in episode 52, the ninja do find Moro's skeleton, and first of all, this is just creepy because, it's a skeleton. Now secondly, we are looking at potentially a child skeleton here, as Moro at the minimum was around 15 years old when he died, or even 20, you're looking at a young person's skeleton, which is just pretty horrifying to me personally. Now secondly, the situation surrounding Moro's death is awfully dark for a children's show. Recall that he was trapped in the Caves of Despair, and lost his life as the lava rose up, which essentially incinerated him and killed him. Yes, that's right, possibly a teenager was in the Caves of Despair as the lava slowly rose up, and with no way of escaping, he was killed. And I think this is definitely one of the scariest parts of Moro's story. The idea of the Serpentine Tombs is dark in its own way, given that, of course, they were locked underground without any food source at all. But what happened to the Anacondrae is definitely a step above. Naturally, without any food source, the Anacondrae became starved, and then started to fight each other for food sources, resorting to cannibalism. And the victor at the end of it all was Pythor. I think this is definitely really dark because it shows again the effects of this imprisonment, leading them to become crazy and really break apart. It's a pretty dark twist on the whole survival of the fittest theory, and in this case, the fittest is someone who turns against his own tribe and does something really desperate. After all, harsh situations create desperate people, and this is a prime example of that. Lastly, I'm going to discuss a scene from the Season 3 premiere, and thanks to my Discord server for this one. Alright, so this scene is the first reveal of the Overlord in Season 3, so what's happened, Borg is giving away the Technoblades, and the Overlord is really mad. So Borg tries to apologize, but to no avail. The Overlord takes matters into his own hands and decides to punish Borg for his actions. Now, the actual scene itself, Borg is grabbed by machines, and he's basically operated on, and the scene ends with him screaming several times. And this scene is just pretty scary overall, also considering that Borg is practically helpless, not because he's disabled, but because, and in the events preceding Rebooted, he's being blackmailed by the Overlord. He's being kept in check by fear, and so he can't ask for help or else he'll get punished. And then we also have the hands lifting him up against his will as he screams and begs, and this is definitely the climax of that power relationship between the Overlord and Borg. Borg has finally tried to do something about this and tried to get help, but it's not working, and this scene definitely shows how menacing the Overlord can be. And that's all for this video. I'm gonna turn comments on. I see similar YouTubers who make similar content like Spitbricks and HF Masters, and they still have comments, so I don't see why I can't do it for my own videos. I'm not sure, this whole COPPA situation is extremely vague, and YouTube hasn't helped in the slightest. Thanks for watching. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, share with anyone ever you know, and let me know what you think could have been included on this list, and I will see you next time.